And we're off. Both runners starting at Sanctuary, just $5 there. So it wouldn't surprise me if they went straight for a Houlihan. It's a common play in Keysanity, and both runners indeed are going over for the Houlihan. So this is a little trick where you kind of offset the camera by jumping into the water a few times. And then when you fall into this hole, the game gets confused and sends you to what we call the Houlihan room, which contains 225 rupees. And since money tends to be a little harder to find early on in Keysanity, this play is pretty common.
Absolutely. Named after Chris Houlihan, one of the winners way back in the day when this game first came off, was the winner of a Nintendo Power contest. This is kind of a debug room where if the game doesn't know where to put you, it just kind of throws you into that Houlihan room. So we get a save and quit from P-Train. GFE, though, doing something that's becoming increasingly popular. Looks like he's going to make a run, check what's on the island over here, and buy some bombs. But then, ooh, and the big key on that island. I think he's going to be going right over to Eastern Palace, though. That's becoming an increasingly popular play to start off with. Avoid Kakariko to start and go to Eastern.
Yeah, so he could just do Sahasrara, or he might as well dip into Eastern. We'll see what they do.
Ooh, big 20 from the tree pull for P-Train there. That's actually really good intel to know. That means money's not going to be nearly as difficult to come by as we thought. Both runners here ended up doing Houlihan, so it's not necessarily a time loss, but if anyone avoided it to start off with, that gamble wins.
Yep. And GFE also doing something that's a little more common in Keysanity, talking to Sahasrara, because he tells you where the green pendant is, and that is Thieves Town. Behind Sahasrara, just a couple of maps.
Yeah, worth noting that it's all dungeons, so it doesn't necessarily really matter. But one of the things to note is that you will not know what dungeons are crystals or pendants unless you have the map. That's one of the added functionalities in the Keysanity function. The compasses will tell you how many treasure boxes are still in each dungeon, but the maps will actually tell you if it's a crystal or a pendant.
So P-Train finding a Ether Medallion in the Lost Woods there. With no bombs, decides to save and quit and approach Kakariko from the south, as GFE is doing now.
Yeah, that southern route is also popular in Keysanity. When you don't want to waste money on a bunch of bombs, you can go ahead and farm them up to the south. These bushes right outside of here where P-Train is actually has a 50% chance of dropping bombs for each of the bushes that you're picking up. So you can sometimes get at least one, and then you can use that one to farm up some free bombs in the bombable hut there in the southwest corner of CAC.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Jiffy spotted a small key on the library, so that could be required. And there's another $300. So remember that thing I was saying about money being hard to come by in Keysanity? Not this seed.
It's all right, Etienne. This game, being a randomizer, makes liars out of all of us eventually. So, you know.
And that puts GFE actually exactly up to Zora money, 500. Of course, he will be spending 100 on the bottle vendor shortly.
Oh, absolutely. And here comes that. And it's a small key to Thieves Town. Oh, that's actually kind of nice.
Yeah, nice to get that small key. It only locks one chest. So going into Thieves Town without that key is always... It always kind of nags at the back of your mind, what if I left something in that chest? So it's just nice to have that key early on.
Absolutely, but you also got to keep in mind there's a dozen or so keys like that in this game. There's one of the small keys to Dark Palace, our first big key to Thieves Town. Oh, this is pointing hard to Thieves Town early, but we also got the flippers.
Yeah, not to mention a sword out of the well.
I mean, swords are always nice. You don't want to run around unarmed for too long if you could possibly avoid.
Yeah, for sure. GFE now into Blind's Hut. We got 50 rupees, some bombs, compass, and red rupee. Nothing super exciting there. Oh, that's exciting. No, that's a hammer.
Absolutely. So, I mean, hammer is going to be one of your best weapons. The hitbox on the hammer, absolutely horrible, but man, it hits just as hard as a tempered sword. To get that within the first 6 minutes of the game, that's also one of our puzzle pieces in order to give us access to the dark world. So that's an incredible piece to pick up super early. And also, if it wasn't enough, GFE also picked up a full magic pot from a random drop from a soldier. This is shaping up to be kind of an interesting early game.
Yeah. Now we still don't have any much opened up yet. Those flippers do open up the Zora area, and with all the cash they've got, I imagine Buzz Runner's probably going for the South Shore play next.
It would make logical sense. And an 8 bomb drop on GFE's side. So our various tier bomb drops, we have 20 rupees drops and an 8 bomb drop. That's really nice triples right there. In the meantime, P-Train is going to do the South Shore. He's actually bypassing the dam to start with. He's not doing that one quite yet, but we'll be checking out this mini Moldorm cave.
Yeah, it's an interesting play. It usually means they want to route the dam in later, possibly with an Agina check. Oh, that's a Bombos on the Lumberjack ledge. That's good information for GFE. And there's our glove in Mini Moldorm Cave.
That's 2 pieces of our puzzle. Nothing else, though. My goodness. That Bombos, though, on the Lumberjack ledge, remember, you can only access that once you have both the boots and have defeated Aga 1. So all of a sudden, if Bombos is our access point to anything, Turtle Rock, Misery Mire, or possibly even our opportunity in Ice Palace as well, we're looking at that possibility where we're going to have to find those 2 Aga keys, defeat Aga, plus the boots. This could be really interesting.
Yeah, for sure. So I imagine the runners are going to want to get their dungeon item checks in sooner rather than later, and dungeon medallion checks, rather.
It is interesting. GFE looks like he's going to be doing the escape sequence. There are quite a few treasure chests here. He does not yet have the ability to go and check the treasure chest in Aghanim's tower. There's at least 1 treasure chest you can normally get as long as you have access to it, but you need either the Master Sword or the Cape to do so. A lot of runners, especially in all dungeon Keysanity, will put off doing escape until you have at least something guiding you there. So this is kind of a high-risk, high-reward play. You could be wasting a lot of time here. We'll see if it ends up paying off.
Yeah, but that said, this is Keysanity, and you're usually going to full clear the game anyway, so it's not necessarily a bad play to get this out of the way sooner. P-Train now heading into Ice Rod Cave and finds the blue boomerang.
I'm told that's the superior boomerang, despite my protestations that the sparkly boomerang that lags the game is better.
Well, if you ever see a hint for the boomerang, the blue one is called the best boomerang in the game, so there's your definitive proof.
No, I think our developers just, are biased against the red boomerang.
And more money.
Oh my gosh, our Our runners could make detours if they want to, need to make it rain. GFE it looked like a death warp there.
Yeah, it was. He wants to go up and check Dark Cross.
Oh, and there's the Book of Mudora, which is just kind of sitting there up on the ledge for P-Train. That could be a piece of the puzzle leading us over to Desert relatively early. We got the mitts, so we can at least go into the back if we want to. No big keys yet, though. There's a couple treasures open to us.
Yeah, definitely. You might look at that, but I think actually there would be 2 items they could access. The one middle chest in Desert and also the item on the Desert ledge. Everything else is locked behind various keys or items.
That's the interesting thing about Keysanity. Not only do you have literal keys that you have to keep track of, you have to remember what unlocks what in each dungeon, how much access do you possibly have. Key-heavy dungeons like Palace of Darkness are so much more lucrative because that's an extra 6 items that you normally have access to that you wouldn't before because they would just have a bunch of keys in them. So lots of extra calculations that you have to make when you're in Keysanity.
P-Train now checking out the back of Escape. This is generally something you want to do as soon as you find the gloves, and there's the Moon Pearl. So we have Dark World access.
Absolutely. We'll see what P-Train does with it. Looks like he's starting on the north end. He might be making a beeline for Thieves Town because of how many points the game was pointing at him to. It's like, here's the hammer, here's the small key, here's the big key. Please do Thieves Town.
Yeah, Thieves Town is full clearable at this point, so I think it's a pretty good play to head right there.
Not to mention you have the Village of Outcasts that has at least 3 items locations that you can do there, and then afterwards after you complete the dungeon, because you have to do it anyway, you can just route in the rest of the South Dark World. It's really, I'm not going to call it a no-brainer play, but it's a very smart play to make at this point.
So one of the questions for P-Train, how much overworld does he want to check? Does he want to dip into Skull Woods and clear that, or does he want to skip it and wait for the Fire Rod? All these little gambles that just make the game interesting.
Well, I tell you what, I'm what you would call a chicken, in that everything in the Lost Woods hits like a truck, and I'm in green mail with a fighter sword. I wouldn't go anywhere near it. But P-Train's a little bit better of a player than I am. So it does look like he's going to be at least taking a hint and seeing what's going on here.
GFE, meanwhile, cleaning up these flipper checks. So he'll find his book as well. Just needs to go to back of Escape to get that Moon Pearl.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is coming up on almost last location for GFE for that back of Escape. So he's going to feel very behind once he finally gets. Big key to Ice Palace. Huh.
Logically, that is required to beat Ice Palace. But these players can do the Ice Palace bomb jump, which will allow them to skip needing that key, except for the big chest. So essentially that key really just is one item unlocked for these runners.
It's good information from a logic perspective, though, knowing that, you should have access. Oh, all the big keys. Misery Mire right there. That's a nice one to pick up as well.
That one is definitely required.
I mean, we're nowhere near checking it out, but worth seeing what we have. Oh, and the powder.
So Skull Woods with a few interesting items here. So P-Train could check the powder, but with no Mire, that makes it a bit of a pain to route in here.
Yeah, he's got a lot of checks that he can make here directly in the near future within the Village of Outcasts, plus into Thieves Town. I think he's going to hope for the Mire and otherwise route that in some other time. Maybe check that at the same time you check Sick Kid once you have a bottle. Try to make those checks as efficient as possible.
Jiffy now checking Mini Moldon Cave. I thought he had checked here earlier, but I guess not. So he will get that glove. Did you catch what was on Bumper Ledge there?
I believe it's nothing important because like my eyes didn't light up at all. So all right, GFE, getting those gloves there. Now, there's one interesting thing that neither GFE or P-Train have checked. We might head over to the dam area to see if they pick something up. Small Kina Turtle Rock from P-Train's side.
Yeah, there's 4 of those. You need at least 3 to beat the dungeon, and you need all 4 to full clear that dungeon. So nice to get one early.
GFE giving us our first look at the dam. Silver arrows. Now that's not great actually, because in hard mode, remember, silver arrows only work on Ganon. So they're just going to be regular arrows everywhere else in the game. So that's nice, but really
Yeah, just affects the later game. P-Train, meanwhile, finding small key to Desert Palace. So it's always nice to get that before you go to Desert, because that locks 2 items.
And more sunken treasure, another 300 rupees that was in the sunken area in the dam. So nothing really in the dam area. P-Train gained some time by avoiding that. Meanwhile, GFE looks like he's going to be checking Old Man out in the desert. Might even be going over to take a peek in desert as well.
And we get another small key to Ganon's Tower.
He did pick up, in the meantime, he picked up a small key to Desert Palace as well. So that's the one small key that you can pick up there. That's actually going to make putting off that desert check that I believe GFE is on his way to go do right now, make it a little bit more efficient.
Yeah, so GFE is heading into desert, so unfortunately we'll be without that small key.
Now, it'll be really interesting to see what he ends up doing here. Okay. So it is possible in Desert Palace to go into the back half of the dungeon, steal the small key that you normally need to progress through the dungeon, and then come back to the front part and use it. It's a very dangerous strategy, though, because it can lead to some problems later. It won't in GFE's case eventually, but we'll see if he makes that. Something sharper than Swamp Palace.
So that's a sword. GFE's not going to go steal the key. The other problem with stealing the key is it's pretty time consuming. You have to walk all the way to the back of desert, go back in to the front, and I think it's actually faster to just go back through the front, even with that book animation, rather than walking all the way around. So it's a pretty time-consuming check to do, so it makes sense that he wouldn't bother.
Yeah, it's not a popular move, and really it's one of those desperation moves that you see people if you're really behind and you need to make a gamble, that would be a time to do it. But this early in the race, not necessarily.
And GFE running over towards Eastern Palace, has he maybe forgotten about Back of Escape?
I don't know if he forgot about it or just is last locationing it. He's made a strategic gamble that nothing's there, that it's somewhere else. That's perfectly fine in Randomizer, but man, that location is super important. And P-Train does in fact find the mirror back in Blind's, next to Blind's treasure chest.
Yeah, it just seems to be kind of an odd gamble to come over to Eastern Palace before doing even back of escape. But hopefully GFE hasn't forgotten it completely.
No, I hope not either. And P-Train got the single most important item in the entire game, the bug net.
Yeah, so that's what that Thieves Town small key gets you today.
That's right, Professor Renderer. It is swagtastic. My goodness, do you think P-Train has done this blind fight just a couple of times?
Yeah, I imagine he's practiced it once or twice. Didn't get it quite on script there, but still a pretty good fight nonetheless. And getting a map for his trouble. And a green pendant, which we already knew would be here. GP meanwhile finding a Dark Palace map.
See, and that's interesting because P-Train has not done anything over in the Eastern Palace area. I'm going to take a wild guess that he's going to do the south part of the Dark World and then just route right over to do that over into the Eastern area. Get everything, just have amazing routing through all of it. Oh no, P-Train, you have the mirror, you have the powder, you have the hammer, go back. Bat Cave calls.
Yeah, I wonder if he just forgot about it there, or maybe didn't want to do it right now. I would think he would write it in.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what's going on, but having the mirror when you're doing this south route just opens up a lot of possibilities for you. You'll be able to get Cave 45 that's right around the corner as well, which is normally kind of an out-of-the-way location that you've passed through before.
And just bombs at the dig game. Jiffy now checking back at escape. He's probably going to wish he came here before Eastern, because Eastern looks like pretty much a bust.
Yeah, that's time lost, absolutely, for GFE, unfortunately. Not necessarily a bad play, but now he's got the breadcrumbs. He knows what he's got to do. Meanwhile, P-Train going ahead and picking up the map to Skull Woods.
Yeah, some players don't even bother picking up the maps in all dungeons, because you have to do all the dungeons anyway, so you don't really care that much if they're a pendant or a crystal, but some players just like having the info anyway.
Well, and go ahead.
GP now entering the Dark World for the first time and going straight to Hype Cave.
I mean, I can't blame him. Let's see what Hype Cave does. Chat, what's your guesses? Is it going to be Hype or Dud? Blue mail from the dude. Small key to Castle Tower. Ooh.
Alright, so nothing super exciting, but that Castle Tower small key, definitely nice to get out of the way now. And P-Train is now comboing the dam with probably a check of the front of Swamp, if I had to guess.
Well, I mean, that's something that I've seen some other runners do as well, because you can go ahead and not only check the chest, but also check this clue, which says go to the next room. So, thanks, game.
And GFE finding the 5-6 crystals, which were one of them was swamp, I guess. I didn't catch the other one.
So P-Train's going to be checking Hype Cave. GFE is going to give us our first look at the Pyramid Ledge, though.
Yeah, and P-Train actually not going into swamp. Was just checking the hint there. Oh, and the first chest, I suppose. Yeah, he couldn't actually go in because you need a small key to do that.
Yep, just some arrows on the pyramid. So we'll see where GFE ends up going. Palace of Darkness isn't an attractive option right now. We only have one small key. We don't have the bow. It's kind of a stretch to go there right now. It's a lucrative spot once we have some more keys to get through, but right now, probably not going to be heading over there anytime soon. GFE routes up instead to Catfish.
Yeah, and this makes a lot of sense. Just get this check out of the way soon.
Oh, P-Train is also going to be able to mirror over and get that big key that we saw in the middle of Lake Hylia, isn't he?
Yeah, he could do that. Seems to have forgotten about it, though.
And just a compass from the Catfish. Thanks. You're our best friend ever.
Alright, GFE now gonna go for... Oh, I see what he's doing. He's gonna go from Catfish into this whirlpool up here, and then swim over to... I guess check the hint, because he doesn't have the mirror. I'm actually not entirely sure where he's going.
I don't know if he's entirely sure where he's going.
Yeah, it looks like he's just coming over to check the hint.
So P-Train now running over some of the same spots that we saw GFE go earlier. We know he's not going to find anything to help him get through that castle tower area. He wanted a key. He got one key, but can't really go past the electrocution stop there in Aga's Tower and not going to find anything. So where is our progression now?
Well, nothing on Death Mountain is in logic. It could be, it could be that we have to go into pod, maybe. We also, I don't think we did see a Ganon, never mind. Could be on the right side of Desert Palace with that small key.
That's true. That might be attractive here for P-Train after a while. Still no big key, so you can't beat the boss, but the game logic, that's part of the randomizer, though. We might be required to triple dip pod because of a required item that's in the first treasure chest, and then we have to leave, or it could require double dipping Desert Palace, and who knows what this game wants us to do.
Also, by the way, that hint GFE checked said that there was a compass in the basement of Tower of Hera, so that's actually pretty good information for him. He doesn't have to do Tower of Hera, and I think that hint kind of makes it worth the trip.
Oh man, the pedestal. The pedestal was a small key to Terrapins. That's one of the small keys that may be required for Turtle Rock.
Is that... Oh, I thought that meant pod, but yeah, if that's Turtle Rock, that could end up being required.
Terrapins is pod?
I think it means pod. So if that's pod, it's not required. Players will just know that they have to be careful with their keys.
No bottles yet either, so we can't even bottle glitch our way around spending a key, at least as
Yeah. But Pod has 6 keys, 6 small keys in total. You need, if you can do the hammer jump, you need only 4 small keys to clear the whole dungeon, so you can get away with leaving 2 of those keys behind.
Raids. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
SRS business makes a good point. Pod is a pendant, so and that actually can't be a pod key on the pedestal. That must be Turtle Rock.
That does make it a little bit more interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Now, keep in mind this is all dungeons. The players have to do the pendants anyway, so pedestal seed is not that big a deal in this mode. It's just one extra check, really, that is a little bit annoying, but won't add too much time to the seed.
So some of the things we're still looking for, where our logic could be, I mean, whatever that big key is on the floating island or on the Lake Hylia island, we can get. So that might lead us to some sort of progression. We can still check desert on the right side for those 2 checks. And then Bat Cave, or the Magic Bat. And that's it. Our progression's got to be in one of those locations, doesn't it?
Yeah, I can't think of much else.
I still got it. I'm not that rusty. Yeah.
And looks like P-Train actually gonna be doing a similar thing to what GFE did, or maybe he's just going to get those silver arrows. Yeah, P-Train's skipping that hint.
Oh, we forgot the one Palace of Darkness check that we can make. Although, I guess we do have 1 key, so we can get a little bit in the front door. That looks to be where P-Train is.
Yeah, and P-Train walked right by that Hylia island. That could be bad news for him if he's forgotten there was a big key on that island.
I mean, the game's going to remind him eventually, one way or the other. Unless, for whatever reason, it's the Swamp Palace big key.
Yeah, there's definitely a few big keys that aren't required, but most of them are.
Gemini Scorpion makes a good point. Green Pendant turn in.
Yeah. Did P-Train just check that?
Yes, he did. And I have a very important question for you, NTM.
Yes.
Do you want to do a fetch quest?
Oh, it was a shovel.
Yes, it was. It was absolutely the shovel.
Alright then. It's always annoying when you've already done Stumpy and all that stuff, and now you just have to make an extra trip back for it. So P-Train heading into Pod now.
Oh, looks like he might be checking out Eastern to start off with, making that first, or at least, yeah.
This makes sense. Hope for an extra small key or even a bow or something in Eastern. We'll see what P-Train does in Pod. Does he want to spend his 1 small key to open the front door? Or does he want to save that key for later and potentially leave something behind? That's a hard decision to make.
It is a rough decision to make, and sometimes, you don't. I mean, the logic that Keysanity can make you go through if you try to save that one key, sometimes it's the only option you have, but not always. It's a mess of a situation, and you really have to kind of weigh your risk reward. How many other locations do you have out there floating?
Oh yeah, Arborelia brings up a great point. P-Train can actually spend that key, and if he finds nothing, he can just hard reset and save the key. So that's what we call save scumming, and that's definitely useful in Keysanity. So maybe P-Train has that in mind.
Do you want to save scum when you are already going through all of Eastern Palace right now?
Well, the way you can do it is you take a death, hit save and continue, and then after that, you can hard reset, and it will save everything you've done up to that point. So that may be what P-Train has in mind.
That would be a good idea. I forgot about the save at death portion.
I don't think it's really an intended mechanic by the developers, but it is perfectly allowed to do that.
I mean, at this point, it's not really their game. It's really our game to do as we intend, right?
For sure.
Yeah, it looks like he just mirrored out and is diving right in, so no save scumming for P-Train. All right, our first new little bit of information from P-Train's side, and it is my favorite cane in the world, the Cane of Burn.
Ooh, sorry, I missed what was in the first chest of pod.
The Cane of Burna, best cane.
I'll disagree with that one for sure.
It's all right. We have a special relationship. It's all right.
So,
What's P-Train doing?
oh, he's mimic clipping. Now this is this one is currently legal, but there's a lot of debate on whether it should be legal. So what happens here is you move the mimics in a particular way, and you kind of have to pause buffer here to get it. But you can clip them through the wall, and they will just float off the screen, and the game thinks they're dead and opens the door for you. So we'll see how long it takes him to do this, because if you haven't practiced it, it can take quite a long time. Or if you've only practiced it a little bit.
There it goes. I have not seen that before. How long ago was that tech discovered?
That one I think is fairly recent, like within the last year. Usually you see it in GT when players don't have the bow. You don't often see it in pod, but in this situation it made sense for P-Train to use it.
And just a couple of heart pieces, so it really was not worth the time spent there. Let's see where P-Train goes next. He might be turning in that fetch quest direct. Or not. He's going to make a liar out of me. Everyone does. It's all right.
So maybe heading for Swamp?
Oh, and GFE looks like he's going to give us our first check of Magic Bat.
This could be big for GFE. since P-Train did skip it when he had an opportunity to do it. And P-Train is now going to grab at this big key off Hylia Island.
We got a map to Hyrule Castle. Oh, that's the worst map.
And we got a big key to Tower of Hera, so that is a required item for sure.
Required, but we can't quite get to it. Does logic dictate desert at this point? It's going to be there on the right side of desert.
Yeah, it's starting to look that way. And I think P-Train, okay, he's going to check the shovel, so we haven't seen that yet.
Oh, Daniel Oberon does say Graveyard Ledge is in play as well. A small key to Skullwood. So
Not super important.
I believe Skullwoods has something to the tune of 3 small keys, and I don't think you need any of them, technically. Big Dunka pointing out, yeah, there are 2 chests in Pod Logic still that were not checked that would require spending that 1 key. And that is a possibility we talked about earlier, that we might end up requiring to spend that. P-Train getting a little nervous now too.
I'm kind of curious why P-Train didn't check those extra chests if he went through the trouble of going all the way to Pod.
Oh, and thank you, Sleepy in chat. Said, not sure if anyone posted, but checked in. Small key of Terrapins is absolutely Turtle Rock. So, I mean, we pretty well knew, but thank you for that confirmation, Sleepy.
Alright, so I imagine P-Train now heading into desert. So we will see what's on that right side.
See, GFE going to be checking Swamp Palace here, the 1 key. One of the things to note that is interesting about the randomizer, especially in Keysanity, if you listen to the music on P-Train side, this is the dungeon music for a pendant dungeon, but it's a crystal dungeon. The developers made sure to randomize the music for the dungeons as well, so you don't really know what it is. You can't check. You don't know for sure until you kill the boss or you get the map.
Yeah, just an extra little twist they added in for Keysanity. I guess just a little something to make the maps more useful than they are in open. So we got a small key to Turtle Rock. So that's our second TR small. And third that we know about. And a flute.
That's our progression. That gets us up Death Mountain right there and gets us full access to Death Mountain, at least the light side.
Oh. And GFE finding on the Bombo's tablet, that's the Pod Big Key. So that's going to be required. Alright, P-Train now going to go activate that flute, and probably straight off to Death Mountain from there. We do have the Hera Big Keys, so he can clear that, except the basement.
Well, we know also the Hera basement is just a compass, so it's not even required. I don't know if P-Train knows that, so he may be sweating that later. GFE, man.
Okay, he's going to grab this big key off the island now.
Yeah, so GFE has already made one dip into desert, and I'm worried that this is going to be kind of a last location for him heading over here to return.
Yeah, when you make an early dip into a place, you really don't want to come back there too soon, because then it's kind of like saying that you've just wasted your time there. So GFE will probably put off desert as long as he can here, and in fact, it looks like he's going up Death Mountain out of sequence, no lamp. So this could be a good play. He may find, he could find the desert big key or something up here, which would allow him to full clear desert next time he goes.
That's true. And I guess, that's something that I'm a little bit surprised that we didn't see a sequence break, because getting up Death Mountain without a lamp or the flute is not necessarily something that people hesitate to do a whole lot. A lot of people are willing to go up just because there's so many items up here on Death Mountain. So I'm a little surprised that neither of them have done this sooner.
Well, I mean, I think one thing is, you have to find the flute. So if the flute ends up being your progression up here, you kind of want to search for it. And as well, you don't have a fire source. So finding a lamp wouldn't be the worst thing either.
This is true, and GFE was able to show us that the old man gives us our first bottle, which is actually incredibly helpful. So, Serger132, why is the flute the way to DM? Logically, the game does not expect you to know dark rooms. If anything is past a dark room, you have the lamp. Now, you can either use the flute to get up there, which will bypass the dark room and just kind of drop you up on Death Mountain, or use the lamp to navigate the dark tunnels like you would normally do. So, either the lamp and a glove upgrade, or the flute is your logical access to get up to Death Mountain.
And meanwhile, we do have the Ganon's Tower big key inside Spectacle Rock Cave, so that's certainly required. GFU trying to do the bomb jump across, unfortunately fell while he was lining it up, so has to walk out the long way here.
P-Train nailed it, though. Congratulations, whoever guessed number 84. You win today's game. I don't know. I wasn't keeping track.
Yeah, I have no idea. So, yet more money on top of Spectacle Rock, and I guess we'll see what the Ether Tablet has here. You can now find your way home. That's either a map or a compass. I forget which.
So it's worthless? It's worthless, okay.
It's worthless.
P-Train just walking right by. Maybe he's hoping to clear out the rest of Death Mountain, hoping that he'll find the small key, because again, he didn't know that hint. He might be a little worried about, or wanting to do the whole thing.
Yeah, that seems a little strange. I mean, if he does get that Hera small key, he can always walk back later. So I'm kind of... Maybe that's something to ask him, why he would skip Tower of Hera right now.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is he's hunting for that small key.
Well, there's a hook shot.
That's kind of nice. That's a little bit nice.
Just a little bit. So GFE knows full well that the basement of Hera is useless, so he can full clear this right now. And finds the bow. And meanwhile, P-Train finds the Titansmiths.
Death Mountain. All the progression right now.
Yeah, so those couple items, hookshot, bow, and Titan's Mitt, it's going to open up this game a lot. We get a Misery Mire, small key.
Also, the Cane of Samaria and the big treasure chest. This is loaded.
Wow. So things are starting to point towards Misery Mire now.
Misery Mire is looking very attractive. We have the Misery Mire big key. We have, I think it looks like P-Train has one small key for Misery Mire, which I believe is all we really need.
Yeah, you can get away without any small keys, I believe, but it's much quicker to route if you have one or two.
P-Train going to give us our first look at Turtle Rock here. He's actually going to be doing the Dark World.
It is Ether for Turtle Rock, so he doesn't have the cane yet, so he can't actually do anything in there except check the hint.
GFE shows us a small key to Turtle Rock is what he got from Moldorm and another crystal. The big key of Evil's Bane is in plain sight. Thanks, game.
Just like to take a moment to shout out to our tracker captain, MD13. Doing a great job, Keysanity. Definitely not the easiest mode to track.
No, absolutely not. Big shout out. Lets us have fun and keep tracking of everything and really keeps us on our toes. Meanwhile, another small key to Misery Mire. Oh, man. I'm rooting for Bombos to be our Misery Mire entryway. Just because.
Yeah, so Bombos we did see was on the Lumberjack ledge. Now the problem... Whoa, okay. I was going to say the problem with Misery Mire is we don't have a fire source for that left side, but P-Train just found one. Fire rod there. And we get another pod small key.
That was 2 pod small keys, actually, I thought.
Yeah, I think you're right. And P-Train remembering there's something... I think there was a big key on the floating island.
I think it was another small key, actually. But yeah, it's a key. These kind of one-off out-of-the-way locations that you just kind of peek at in regular randomizer. In Keysanity, there's just that much more of a chance that it's going to be a small key, and you really can't avoid picking it up, even if it's something like on Misery Mire's small key that there's 50 of them and you don't need any of them. Ganon's Tower.
So Ganon's Tower small keys are nice to have, but not as required necessarily. They could be required. Depending on if there's any required items for pendant dungeons inside GT, then you may need some small keys there. But the GT small key logic is crazy complicated. I don't really know it 100%.
But that's what chat's for, because if we ever get anything wrong, chat will be right there to correct us. So it's... Meanwhile, GFE and P-Train are now just kind of swapping spots. So P-Train going to be coming over here. We are at about 55 minutes, just a little bit short of 55 minutes, and we still haven't found a second sword or any access to Aga's Tower. We have one key to Castle Tower, but we don't have the lamp and we don't have the second key, and that is something we're eventually going to have to clear.
Yeah. And that second Aga Tower small key can be anywhere. I think it could literally be in any dungeon or any chest in the entire game. With the exception, I guess, of Lumberjack Ledge, but we already know that's bombos.
Yep. Our tracker captain is pointing out that we can get a sword in swamp as soon as we figure out what the heck our small key is. Oh, and P-Train misses the bomb jump and falls all the way back to the second floor.
Yeah, that's never fun. Personally, I used to do this bomb jump, but I started screwing it up too much. So now I just never do it because it's just so not worth it if you miss it even occasionally.
Yeah, it is a huge time sink if you end up missing it. He has the hook shot, so he could theoretically hook shot across, but no boot, so he can't bump back after he's done. At this point, time sunk. Go ahead and climb to the top and drop down to it.
Oh, he's gonna go for that bomb jump again.
It's a bold move, Cotton, and it pays off.
So there is that King of Mire. So let's see. With 2 small keys to Turtle Rock, we can check the front chest. We can check Chain Chomps, and we can check, I guess, the lava chest or crystal roller room. So that's, and also of course Mimic Cave. So I guess that's 4 checks inside TR. But unfortunately, that takes several minutes to do all that. So we'll see if the runners decide to go in there now. Looks like Jiffy is going to go inside.
Moldorp almost knocked P-Train off there.
And yeah, that's a 3rd T-Rock small key. So actually, P-Train could do could go all the way up to Laser Bridge if he so chooses. It won't be in logic without the lamp and with no invincibility item, but he could do it. Looks like he's going to do Spike Cave instead, though.
Spike Cave is in logic with Cane of Burna and potions, I believe. I always like it when Cane of Burna logic is actually used.
And we got a lamp inside of T-Rock on GFE's side.
So that makes going all the way to Laser Bridge in logic.
Yep. And P-Train just finding a compass in Spike Cave's going to save and quit. And we'll see where he goes from here. I'm guessing probably won't be too long before the runners check out the Mire area. P-Train can check Sick Kid first. Good idea. And just $50 there.
GFE diving deeper, just 20 there.
And P-Train, I think, has his sights set on Skull Woods.
You know, you have a sword, you have the fire rod. That's not necessarily a bad play. I would get nervous about it. Certainly doable. Fighter Sword Mothula sounds gross, though.
Yeah, it's not the funnest fight, but with the hammer, it's not too bad. It only takes 4 hammer hits on Mothula. Of course, they have to register. There's kind of a weird... I'm not sure if it's a bug or intended or not, but if you knock Mothula into the spikes, it turns out Mothula won't take any damage. So you have to get 4 hits and not knock him into the spikes.
So, looks like GFE forgot something.
I'm not sure why he didn't.
Oh,
Okay,
he's
he's taking
death.
death. Oh, he wants to open up the lava chest and then save scum. I'm not sure why he didn't check Mimic Cave first, though.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, we had a hint for. Okay, we had a hint for the Mimic Cave. Never mind.
Alright, so here we go. Because he did end up getting this. Oh, no, he didn't.
And just a red bottle, so Jiffy's gonna not want to spend a key on that.
Absolutely not. You got 2 bottles, you're good. Well, I guess he's only got 1. Meanwhile, P-Train is going to show us Mothula.
And gonna switch to the hammer after getting a few fire rod shots in. And down he goes. Very nice fight from P-Train.
GFE went ahead and noped out. He's not going to do any more Turtle Rock, even though he could have theoretically gone all the way. Or no, he didn't, because he didn't have the 3rd key.
Yeah, he could have checked Crystal Roller Room as well. Well, no, he couldn't. He couldn't have done that and saved the key, so never mind. GFE looked like he wanted to go into Swamp, and then remembered he doesn't have the small key there.
That small key is always one of those kind of one-offs that you're like, oh, right, I can't do anything. Instead, looks to be making a trip over to Ice Palace, which we have a big key for, and that's it.
Yeah, but this is fully clearable. You're going to have to go around a long way with no small keys, but it's certainly doable.
That hint, the unique items in Turtle Rock, which lamp, thanks. Oh, Ursula in chat also correcting us. We can't get to that roller room or the laser bridge without big key for Turtle Rock because we don't have the big key, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. So easy to forget all these little details.
Meanwhile, P-Train is doing the hammer pegs with Jeremiah in tow.
Just $20 there.
Do you know why they call him Jeremiah?
No.
Because Jeremiah was a bullfrog, and he was a good friend of mine.
Oh. Okay.
It's an old song in America. Sorry.
It's not one I've heard.
Joy to the world. Look it up. You'll thank me later.
So P-Train gonna take the purple chest. Looks like he's gonna actually go up to somewhere with it. Maybe gonna check Graveyard Ledge here.
Yep, that is in Logic as well. It's something that's been in Logic for a while that we really haven't gotten a chance to see either.
Did that hint say some arrows above the pose?
I think it did.
Oh, some cash. Never mind.
Oh, cash in the sewers. Okay.
Oh, wow, I totally misread that.
All right. Meantime, P-Train fluted away. We're going to see what's in the lunchbox. GFE, meanwhile, making his way through Ice Palace, hasn't really found a whole lot yet, though.
Well, that's something. Big Key Turtle Rock.
That's something as soon as you pick up after just coming from there, you're like, oh, thanks, game.
And we get a small key. Oh, there's our second Castle Tower small key.
Man, but we still can't get in that door.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna need a cape or a master sword to do that. So P-Train finding out the pod. Big Key is on the Bombos tablet. And he's off to Mire now. Or the Mire area.
All right, it's going to give us our first look. Come on, Bombos. Come on, Bombos. Oh, wow.
That is the Swamp Palace small key in Ice Palace. Big chest.
Yeah, that's significant. It is ether, so no need for Bombos to get into Misery Mire, but my goodness, that's a big pickup. Another pod small key. That's 4 pod small keys. That as soon as we get the big key, might make it a lucrative spot to go to.
Yeah, for sure. P-Train thinking for a second and decides to float away. Did he go to Checkerboard Cave?
He didn't, and I was right there. Interesting. It looks like he's going to be going to pod. He got that 4th key and says, yeah, it's time.
Oh, we had a hint for Checkerboard as well. I didn't even catch that one.
See, this is what chat's for. They just let us know when there's hints because we can't check them all. That's no way.
Alright, GFP now making his way down to Cold Stair. So, we don't have that Bombos medallion, so this is probably going to be... Okay, he's got a green potion. He's probably going to use that, I would think. Of course, this being hard mode, the green potion will only refill his magic meter to half. So he is going to have to use the hammer for much of this fight.
He's not using it. He's sticking hammer time. Wait. Yep. Yes, he is. Meanwhile, P-Train is in Palace of Darkness for the first time. Well, I guess not for the first time. He went through.
First time in Logic.
Yep. Oh, and there was a sword, apparently, through all of this. So we now have access to Castle Tower. Logic.
Chiefy gets one puff down. He's playing it very safe here. Gets the second one down. And the third one goes down as well. And just 20 bucks, and that was a green 20 bucks, which means that it is most likely going to be our second male upgrade.
That's true. Yep.
So, I'm not sure what P-Train found in the dark basement there. And he's actually mirroring out. He's not going to do the hammer yump. I guess he decided, you know what, left side pod not in logic. I'm not going to do it right now.
But, okay, it is, as far as we know, because we know where the lamp is, and we know it's past those dark rooms. Probably not worth it for those 2 treasure chests, because you don't have the big key yet, though.
Right, and that's what he's going to grab right now. So this makes some sense. GFE now heading into swamp. Can full clear everything but the big chest here, so definitely this could be a big play.
And it seems to be where the logic is pointing us. That small key to get us through the front door of Swamp Palace might be kind of the bottleneck location. In the meanwhile, there are just a lot of opportunities for items here in Swamp Palace. 9 more treasure chest locations to open up. Small key to Tower of Hera, which we know is worthless.
Well, GFE knows that. P-Train doesn't. P-Train actually going to buy some upgrades here. Upgrades? No, never mind. He's getting fairies. That seems like a long way to go just for... Okay, he is buying some bombs. So the upgrades here, normally they cost 100 bucks, but in hard mode, that's doubled to 200 bucks.
All right, meanwhile, P-Train is going into Ice Palace, so he's not going to be all that far up behind GFE right now. We are at 1 hour and 13 minutes now. Both runners have 3 dungeons complete at this point in time. Kind of have taken some different routes here.
Yeah. GFE, of course, still missing that flute, which was on the right side of desert, so he's really hoping for that Desert Palace big key to get him back in that direction.
Our tracker, Captain MD in chat, is pointing out to us that based on what we know about the pendant dungeons, being Palace of Darkness, Thieves Town, which we've already cleared, and Skull Woods, there's nothing interesting that could possibly be in Ganon's Tower at this point in time. Just based on the logic and everything. There, you know, maybe the boots, maybe, but at this point in time, nothing really going to be going. As soon as we get to Ganon's Tower, we're going right up those front stairs.
Yeah. Even if the boots are in the basement, it's not really worth the time to look for them. So GFE just going straight to the left side swamp. This is pretty normal in Keysanity. You're usually not going to skip anything, so you may as well just do left side swamp right away.
Oh, P-Train got the bomb jump, then kind of miswalked and walked right off the edge, so got a bomb jump again. All right. P-Train making quick work of those pen gators. GFE going to show us what the first treasure chest, 100 rupees. We do not need more rupees. We're actually good on money for a hard mode, which is crazy to say. 10 arrows. All right, so GFE is going to continue working his way back through Swamp Palace. It's the only new information we really have at this point. P-Train is going to be taking the long way through Ice Palace, and we've seen everything there just from GFE at this point. GFE, of course, has already completed Ice Palace. Doesn't have the big key, so can't get the big treasure chest. That might come back to haunt him. Hopefully not yet. We're getting pretty close to being able to clear everything. Let's see, we have... Well, we have... Oh my goodness. We are an ice rod away from at least our item go mode. We still have quite a few big keys that we need to get. We still need a big key to Eastern Desert. And we have Turtle Rock. Oh man, we are so close to go mode. I did not realize that. Ice Rod, Eastern Palace, and Desert Palace. That's it. That's all we need for go mode.
Wow, that's pretty good for just an hour 17 in.
Well, there's probably some small keys in there too that I'm missing as I'm going through it.
I think we got all the small keys we need.
Meanwhile, P-Train does pick up that small key to Swamp Palace. I imagine he'll be going there before too long. GFE is going to be showing us... Oh, wow. So he still has a fighter sword, and he's opened 8 out of the 10 treasure chests. So either Argus here will have a sword, or there's going to be a sword in the big treasure chest, which he does not have the big key to. We did get a hint earlier that there's something sharp in Swamp Palace, and he's got to use spins on the R guy right now. He cannot just use slashes.
I think it is going to be on Argus. I think there's a separate hint for the Swamp Palace big chest. I could be wrong, though.
All right, and Argus goes down, and he gifts us with, yes, a sword.
Fight your sword, Argus. Never a fun fight, so go GFE. So looks like GFE now is headed in the direction. Okay, well he's gonna get that pod big key. And unfortunately that might just send him to pod actually. Which is not a bad thing since he'll be able to full clear it, but he does need to get to desert sooner rather than later. We know that flute is on the right side of desert.
Oh man, he's going to be avoiding that for as long as he can. The interesting thing is it really hasn't hurt him a whole lot. He's still been able to make pretty good progress. There's been nothing. If something was over in the Mire area that would put P-Train like just at the very edge of it all, then that flute would be making a difference. But right now, GFP is doing very well without it.
Yeah, the only problem is it's costing him a lot of time to have to walk everywhere. So the longer he goes without that flute, the more of an advantage P-Train's going to build up. Yeah, we still don't know where that Desert Palace big key is, so if GFE finds that soon, he'll be in good shape.
Meanwhile, P-Train is going over here, making a beeline for Swamp Palace, which makes total sense.
We can also pull the pedestal now. We do have the items required to beat Pod, so that Turok small key definitely could be a thing.
I would expect, yeah, I would expect GFE to do it because he can do it when as soon as he goes up to eventually do Skull Woods. P-Train though has already cleared Skull Woods, so I doubt he's going to go out of his way to get that.
Yeah, especially since you really only need 3 Turtle Rock small keys, and he's already got that. But GFE with just 2 probably will pull the pedestal for that last one.
So GFE is going to be able to pick up, while he's in Pod, he's going to pick up his 3rd sword. That'll be max swords for hard mode that he'll be able to get. P-Train will pick up his once he's done with Argus.
So, in terms of stuff we haven't really seen yet, I don't think anyone's gone into Misery Mire, and there's still a few extra chests in Turtle Rock we haven't seen, so that's probably going to be where our progression is. The other place that's now finally open is Castle Tower with that Master Sword, so there's 2 item locations in there, and that could definitely have something.
You're right. Those are kind of 2 prime locations that I'm looking at. If I'm P-Train, I'm probably looking at doing Turtle Rock first. Castle Tower without a lamp doesn't sound appealing at all. Luckily, the lamp's in Turtle Rock, so he'll be able to pick that up along the way. But I would personally be avoiding Castle Tower until I get that lamp.
Yeah, although I'm sure P-Train can do it just fine with the Fire Rod. He's a very experienced runner. I'm sure he knows those dark rooms well enough. GFA having a little trouble with these beetles here in Pod. They can be obnoxious.
Yes, they can. So let's get some guesses. Where are things going to be? We're really at this point looking for the Eastern Palace Big Key, the Desert Palace Big Key, and the Ice Rod. And that's it. That's all that we do not know what's going on. So
well, we know the Ice Rod's on Laser Bridge. It has to be, right?
I mean, that is a potential location, yes. I will do you one better though, and this is going to be great.
Okay.
The Swamp Palace Big Key is on Laser Bridge, which holds the Ice Rod.
That is pretty vile, but definitely possible.
Hey guys, if you play enough Plando, it gets a lot meatier than that. So
And we still do have a few chests here in Pod that P-Train left before checking, since he wanted to go get that Pod big key first. So GFE's going to show us that now. He's going to line up a hammer yump, which will allow him to save one key in Pod, and gets it. Nicely done.
yep, so this is our first new information for a little bit here from GFE. And wow, that was underwhelming.
Yeah, so nothing in the dark maze. We do still have Helmosaur to deal with.
Surger lamp was located in past the torch room in Turtle.
So can you think of any random overworld checks we haven't seen yet? Or have they pretty much cleared that out?
Well, we haven't been able to do King's Tomb, which is
That's
always
true.
one of those things that's on my radar.
Yeah, we haven't been able to check any either of the boots locations yet.
Bonk Rock, yeah, Bonk Rock's King's Tomb, those two. Let's see, what are some other... I honestly think that's about it, because we've done Graveyard Ledge, we've checked both the Mire spot locations, we've checked Hobo, we've been scammed by Zora.
Yeah, I think they've cleared everything. There is the Bacon Sword for P-Train.
Did GFE not get the Bacon Sword? Is he... Oh, he's still got treasures to open yet that he's not opened.
Yeah, Pod with only 4 small keys is a bit of a pain. If you want to full clear, you kind of have to go through that right side several times. So he's doing the boss first, but I would expect him to go back and get that sword.
P-Train stocking up on potions, getting a red pot. Wonder what he's planning at this point in time.
I think he's planning on heading into Misery Mire. And just a Hyrule Castle small key in Pod, so that's pretty much worthless. So we're getting our first look at Mire now.
Yep, we got the big key. We got the other keys, but man, we're just missing a few items.
Yeah, P-Train's still missing that lamp, so I'm sure he can do the Mire Darkroom. It's just not ideal to do it without the lamp. It's probably going to take him a bit longer than it will take for GFE. So this is sort of a normal routing in Keysanity. When you come into Mire and you already have a small key, just go straight to the left side first. It's a bit faster to do things this way. So you check the lobby chest, and then I imagine he'll go and check the firelock side first, and then do the rest of it.
Yeah, that seems to make sense. GFE, meanwhile, picks up his bacon sword as well. So yeah, I mean, P-Train seems to be on the right track right now in terms of what we can see, what we can't see. One location that we haven't really talked anything about is the Pyramid Ferry, which right now is locked to us because we need that Desert Palace big key, and that's the other 5-6 crystal. But Swamp Palace was one of the others. So, we're just one item away from being able to get those overworld locations.
Yeah, for sure. P-Train gonna check the hint here in Mire. Compass held with a grumpy fish, not really useful at this point. TFE just now is checking Sick Kid.
I just keep thinking back to GFE's earlier play when he took an early dive into desert before he had that small key. How much time has that cost him because he hasn't had the flute to be able to run around? I mean, it's not cost him in terms of progression, but you're right. It's really cost him quite a bit of time in terms of having to kind of do things the slow way.
Yeah, well, we'll find out what that flute leads to as P-Train continues through Mire. I don't think we found anything exciting so far, although there's a cape, which isn't still all that exciting. I don't think anything was on Bumper Ledge.
No, nothing was on Bumper Ledge. Although, I mean, the possibility of that being our access to Aga 1 was there. We have our sword.
And P-Train can do another thing you normally only see in Keysanity, which is instead of checking this chest first, you just hookshot over to it on your way to Vitreous.
Yeah, that's usually the first treasure chest you end up checking in Misery Mire. That's the God Mire key location. P-Train in the dark. See if he can. Yep, he gets through. These are not easy dark rooms that P-Train is doing right now. The lamp is in Turtle Rock, so once he makes his way up there, he'll be able to route in all this logic. But doing all these blind, it's not easy. So it looks like GFE is just doing some etc. cleanup that we've already seen P-Train do.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious why he didn't go to Skull Woods while he was right there. Since he can, well, he can't get the big chest, but he can finish off the boss and even pull the pedestal if he wanted to.
In the meantime, P-Train is going to... Oh, looks like he's just using regular slashes, and he's just going to town on Vitreous. It's a pretty fast strat. It's not the fastest, but it's a pretty fast strat.
And GFE finally making his way back to Desert Palace. This must be close to the last location for him. And we got a small key to Dark Palace, so not terribly useful at this point. So Mire pretty well a bust. I think we're looking at Turtle Rock or Castle Tower for our next progression.
You know what else I just realized for GFE? He went and cleared out Pod, but didn't mirror over and take care of Eastern while he was right there.
Well, we still need that big key.
Oh, right. Right.
So there's a third Turtle Rock key for GFE, so he doesn't... I think he save scummed the lava chest, so probably won't need the pedestal now, and also gets the flute, by the way. P-Train, meanwhile, going to finish off Pod. He was here earlier and got his Master Sword and immediately left to go get the Pod Big Key off of the Bombos tablet, reasoning that he's going to have to come back anyway, so no point in finishing it. So GFE now going to activate that flute, and I imagine he's going to want to check out that Mire area. So while we have a moment, just want to remind everyone, give these runners a follow. Throw out their links in chat. P-Train and GFE, both very talented runners, a lot of fun to watch. So yeah, thanks to them for being on the restream, and show them some support with a follow.
Jopo in chat asks, what are the pendants? The pendants are irrelevant at this point in time. I mean, they happen to be Palace of Darkness, Thieves Town, and Skull Woods. The difference is we don't necessarily care because it's all dungeons. We have to do them all anyway. GFE now going over here to Skull Woods.
Oh, it makes sense. He has to clear it out.
Well, you're in the neighborhood. When you pick up the flute, might as well take care of it. Jopo, no. Ped is the 4th Turtle Rock small key. And we've already done a save scum, so it's not going to be required.
Yeah, although P-Train still hasn't touched Turtle Rock, so he doesn't know that just yet.
That honestly feels like the next piece of the puzzle, is heading up there to Turtle Rock. We got the big key. We have 3 small keys. We know it at least has the lamp for P-Train, which closes a lot of the logic loops that he has.
Yeah, although, I don't know, if I were in their shoes, I might just do Castle Tower first. Because that could be your progression, and you have to do it anyway. Go moding doesn't really save you any time in Castle Tower. GFE now fighting Mothula.
Mothula was not cooperating, sticking right up against the spikes. But GFE gets...
There's that last pendant. I'm not sure where GFE is going now.
I don't know.
Maybe to check the bumper ledge, or has he not done graveyard ledge, maybe?
Probably graveyard ledge. Alright, P-Train working his way through Helmasaur. Should be a relatively quick fight here. And does look like you're right, GFE heading over here to Graveyard Ledge.
And Helmasaur taken down by P-Train. So basically at this point, P-Train's options are going to be Castle Tower or Turtle Rock. Which one?
You know, this is why I keep a quarter on my desk whenever I'm getting ready to play. If I have a 50-50 option, I might do it. But Castle Tower is the smarter play. I try to save that in old dungeons for the very end if I can. Sometimes, but right now, you know, the risk of diving TR and the ice rod being just right there in Castle Tower is too great.
Looks like P-Train's going to go up and pull the pedestal instead. Yeah, he still doesn't know that... Actually, I don't even think he's checked the pedestal, so he doesn't know what's here. But he will get his 4th Turtle Rock small key. So, chat, you got your ped pull today.
Dun, 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 and it's an amazing small key. That always felt anticlimactic whenever you pull that and it's just nothing.
It's so funny though to just see like a piece of heart or something after all this fanfare. It looks like P-Train is choosing Turtle Rock. Yeah, runners do like to save Castle Tower for last, just because after GT you get put on top of the pyramid anyway, so it's a lot faster to get there that way. But at the same time, the trade-off is that you know, if you find something in Castle Tower that lets you skip something else, you know, that can be good.
It's also convenient as a health refill, because after you beat Agab 1, you get a health and magic refill. And doing that right before you face Ganon is always nice.
That's very true.
Alright, P-Train about to enter Turtle Rock. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more knowledge this time.
Yeah, P-Train can full clear Turtle Rock. We'll finally get his lamp here in a minute.
Well, I mean, he can fullish clear Turtle Rock, maybe. We still don't know where that ice rod is.
That ice. I keep assuming that the ice rod is on Laser Bridge because at this point it probably is, right? But that actually is a good point because that's another reason you might want to do Castle Tower first. If that ice rod is in Castle Tower, you're going to really regret coming to Turtle Rock first.
Oh, absolutely. I'm still hoping for either Swamp Palace Big Key would be my preference, but I'll settle for Skull Woods Big Key. I'll settle even for the boots to be on Laser Bridge, and then the ice rod be in one of the boots locations. Oh, P-Train got to be a little bit careful here. 1.5 hearts.
Yeah, this isn't the most costly death, though, if he does die here. But still, you'd rather not die if possible.
Coming up on these dangerous chain chomps, too. Those things just hit like a Mack truck.
Just a big 20 there. You'd think if Ganon set up a couple of chain chomps there to guard that chest, it'd be a little more valuable than 20 bucks.
I don't think those aren't his chain chomps. They just rented them. Bowser was short on coins, so, rented some of his excess equipment to Ganon. It's like bad guy Airbnb. I believe that's our... We kind of knew about that bottle, but I think that's our 4th bottle.
Alright, GFE making his way to Mothra. We'll see how he deals with that fight. You always love to use silver arrows here, but that's not available in hard mode.
Schroden, no, the runners really aren't all that far apart. I think GFE is probably half a dungeon behind at the most, and given all the different things that have gone wrong for him, throughout in terms of a couple last location checks, he's doing fantastic to be only behind by about half a dungeon or so.
Yeah, I would agree. And especially with, who knows how much time exactly it's cost him to not have that flute for so long. But that's definitely cost him some time.
Absolutely.
Alright, P-Train now coming up to Laser Bridge.
This is going to answer a lot of questions here. I mean, is he going to have to nope out? Is Ice Rod somewhere on Laser Bridge? We'll see.
And GP also making his way to Turtle Rock now.
That seems to be the direction to go at this point in time. We really can't do... I mean, we could do Castle Tower, which I think would be it would be a smart play, but you know, the percentages are telling you to go up to Turtle Rock because there's a ton of items up there.
Oh, that's not the ice shroud, but that's the boots. And ice palace small key, that's useless. Hey, that's a nice rub.
All right. So hey, he's doing relatively well. Boots and ice rod, he'll be able to go ahead and clear this out. Yeah, and then you have a couple of boots lock locations that you'll be able to check for Eastern Palace and Desert Palace Big Key.
So with Tempered Sword and a full magic meter, this should be a fairly straightforward fight for P-Train. And he's going to go up and try for the 0 cycle, but misses a shot there, so he's not going to get that.
Oh, and he makes a mess on the floor. Very nice final phase on Trinex.
Trinex bestows us with the Misery Mire small key, so that's also useless. So those boots are the progression. So there pretty much has to be something in King's Tomb or Bonk Rocks. Or I guess there's still Castle Tower.
Castle Tower is looking a little bit attractive right now because that's 2 item locations. Wonder where P-Train's going. Oh, he's going to go over here and check.
Oh, he's checking Hera Basement, yeah. That's right. So GFE earlier on went out of his way to check the hint at the Dark World Ice Rod Cave area, which turned out to be a hint telling us there was a compass in the Hera Basement. So definitely useful information for GFE. P-Train's going to lose however long this takes, like a minute and a half.
Yeah, this is certainly going to be a waste of time, but he's got his coffee break on right now. Oh no, he missed the coffee break.
That's always annoying.
He can't even reset out of it, which is rough. I will say this much for everyone in chat. We are an hour, about 54 minutes in now, and there is still, we have these 2 featured runners. We have a total of 23 runners that are racing this for our community stream. No one's finished yet. So this seed has certainly given people some fits based on the logic that we've seen so far.
Yeah, and the 2 runners on stream still a bit quite far from finishing, really. We still have 2 items left to find. They still have to do all of GT and Castle Tower.
All right, looks like P-Train is going to be checking the boots locations. Let's see which one is progressing. It's got to be one of...
I'm going to go with Bonk Rocks.
I'll go with King's Tomb by default.
Oh, you win.
What are you hoping, Eastern or Desert? Or Troll?
I'm hoping for the Desert Big Key, because that would open Pyramid Ferry as well.
Hoping for Swamp Palace Big Key.
Or how about Mushroom? No, it's gonna be Eastern. Okay.
Yeah, we just needed the Eastern Palace and Desert Palace big keys. So we're on our way back to Eastern now. We've cleared everything out except for what is on the Armos Knights. So that's going to be our next progression. We are in the middle of a chain right now.
Well, we do still have Castle Tower. Don't forget.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about Castle Tower. Yeah.
But I think Eastern definitely makes more sense right now.
Yeah, you have to eventually come back here and do it anyway. And you know, you very well you have 2 item locations here, the big chest and what's on Armos Knights. So you could get your progression to be able to skip everything else.
Looks like GFE now checking Spike Cave. I think P-Train did this earlier. So just a heart piece in the Eastern big chest.
So Death Mountain really was the story here. We had lots of progression up on Death Mountain, and eventually, once you were able to finally make your way to the back and do Laser Bridge, and I guess, you know, a lot of people left early from Turtle Rock. It was available to us relatively early, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, we got everything we needed on Death Mountain to get in there. Where was the big key again? It was somewhere weird. I don't remember. But then you did logically have to pull the pad for that 4th small key. But alright, here's Armos fight for P-Train. Setting up for the quick kill. And very nicely done. And just 50 bucks on Armos. So that Desert Palace big key has got to be in Castle Tower. Or maybe on a mushroom or something. But that's Castle Tower is going to be P-Train's next destination here.
All right, Chad, I'm going to ask you guys a question, and I need you guys to respond. In Castle Tower, are we going to find the Desert Palace big key, or are we going to find some sort of fetch quest, the mushroom, or one of the other big keys to open a big treasure chest? How far does this rabbit hole go? I see a lot of people saying fetch. They want to fetch right now. Let's keep stretching this on.
And more importantly, is it going to be in chest number 1 or chest number 2? Get your guesses in chat now. And there it is, Desert Palace big key, chest number 1. And P-Train decides he's going to mirror out and just finish off at Desert Palace first.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, I would have just finished it while you were there, but I guess it doesn't make a huge difference. And P-Train also going in the front door rather than mirroring from the back. I'm not sure why.
You know, Etienne, this might not be a conversation that we can have unless it was later, but not everyone likes going into the back door. Okay, just everyone has a preference. Some people, it's just not something that they're into.
But it's faster. Oh my. Alright, well.
Alright.
Is in go mode. Anyway, we can announce that officially.
Yeah, so he's going to be skipping everything else, even Ganon's tower. Once he eventually gets up there, he has enough Ganon tower keys that he doesn't have to go hunting for anything. So he'll be going right upstairs.
GFE not able to get that quick kill on Armos. And starting to run low on arrows here. Gets it done though.
Alright, Land Molus should be a pretty quick kill here.
Ooh, misses 2 fire rod shots though.
Yeah, that's going to stretch this out a little bit. I mean, not a ton, but a little bit.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, GFE is going up to Castle Tower. We'll see if GFE actually finishes Castle Tower or if he will nope out and go to Desert as well. And the climb we go, we have Castle Tower and Ganon's Towers, only 2 dungeons left for this all dungeons hard mode. Although it doesn't really feel like a hard mode. We have 13 hearts, blue mail, tempered sword, 4 bottles.
Yeah. This seed definitely, for a hard mode seed, this has been pretty generous with the safeties. And yes, chat, unfortunately there is no guessing game in Keysanity. Except for the rare situation when you get the hint that the GT Big Key is in GT. Which does happen sometimes, but yeah. I guess we'll be able to play the blue ball guessing game if you really are hard up for guessing games. So GFE is going to finish off Aga Tower while he's here. So we'll be able to play that momentarily. And yeah, still no finishers. So again, we don't know exactly where everyone off stream is at, but no one has finished yet.
No, and I said from the very beginning, both of these runners are very, very good runners, and they are definitely in the conversation about, you know, whether or not they would be the first to finish anyway. And it's looking like that might be the case.
Yeah, P-Train gonna have to be a little careful with arrows here.
Only 2 arrows left.
And doesn't even stop to pick up the arrow refill there.
All right, chat, get your guesses in. We're at Aghanim. How many blue balls do we have? Etienne, what's your gonna guess for blue balls?
I'll go with 3.
I'm gonna jump up. I'm late, but I think we're gonna get on a losing streak. I'm gonna go 5. He's not shot a single one yet. Meanwhile, P-Train's doing reasonably well on this gauntlet here.
Oh yeah, P-Train, very solid execution. I would not expect any problems here from him.
And that was a perfect 0 blue ball fight
Wow.
for GFE. I mean, P-Train's going to get that same fight. That's part of the randomizer. It's the same scripted fight for both of them.
That is the dream.
Okay, in the meantime, oh, GFE is coming over here. Oh, and he's doing the quick hit into Desert Palace right now because he needs to do that before doing GT. See, GFE likes going in the back door. P-Train doesn't. I'm not, you know, everyone has their preference.
So, GFE still has to do Ganon's Tower, P-Train still has to do Aga Tower. I'd say this is overall, I'd say P-Train's maybe a few minutes ahead, but overall not. It's been a pretty close race for the most part.
Absolutely. It's been very tight between these two. And they've, I mean, from like the 10-minute mark, they went in completely opposite directions. And that's just randomizer for you. And P-Train with the hover.
And kind of a strange little glitch there. When you hover that gap, one of those bumpers just kind of bounces out of control. I don't really know why, but maybe no one does.
Oh, that was a rough first cycle.
Ooh, GFE gonna swim over and grab an arrow upgrade. Definitely not a bad idea.
He's got 2 arrows before Ganon's Tower, so it gives you a refill at the same time. All right, so P-Train downs Aga 2, but wait, he has to travel back in time and kill Aga 1 first, which, you know, I just don't pay attention to time travel in Zelda games anymore.
Yeah.
So GFE going up, and he will be doing his final Ganon Tower climb. P-Train just has to do Castle Tower, which is very, very short, and then he'll get his full health refill. Adirondack Rick, what was Go Mode? Big shout out to one of the leaders of our community. Yeah, Desert Palace Big Key. We were stuck with Desert Palace Big Key, Eastern Palace Big Key for a while, just trying to find those. Boots and Ice Rod were on Laser Bridge, so that kind of delayed things on it. It wasn't that bad of a seed, though, all things said.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen worse. GFE did end up with a triple dip of desert, which is never fun, but he still made decent progress for how we started. And no, nothing required was in GT. Both runners able to fully go mode GT.
Much to, I think, their happiness, because it could have been a real rough seed there. There was some real troll possibilities that we happened to die. And Captain MD is right. According to the logic of this seed, I mean, there was the 4th Turtle Rock key was on the pedestal. It wasn't required by any stretch of the imagination, but so some of our runners picked it up, some didn't.
Yeah, P-Train picked it up. He actually blind pulled the pad.
Oh, GFE getting bodied in this laser room right now.
And that Beamos, Beamos was sort of a bodyguard there for that Zizak taking an arrow for him.
But it was not into his knee.
Yeah, I don't think those things have knees. Oh man, that skeleton not cooperating whatsoever.
Now P-Train gets his 0 blue balls, gets his refresh, and we are on to Mr. Blue Bacon himself. Worth noting that now that we're on Ganon, our silver arrows are activatable.
Yeah, let's hope runners remember to do that. Yep, P-Train activating those silvers.
Already on phase 3 for P-Train.
Oh,
great position.
And there it is. That is the final arrow into Ganon. Get your GGs in chat for P-Train.
That was about as smooth as phase 4 as you would ever hope to see for Ganon. And he crosses that bridge. GG's to P-Train. Does finish with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 13 minutes, and 44 seconds. He finishes in 9th place. We had a slew of finishes there. A big shout out to our race winner at the very, let me see, Hitsuyan1337 did finish in first place with a time of 2:04:38. So less than 10 minutes behind the first place finisher. There was just a group of them all right there within 10 minutes of one another. Well done to all of our racers there.
Yep. That was definitely a fun seed. Only thing that maybe could have been better was if those boots were earlier, but definitely an interesting one. And P-Train is going to be joining us in chat shortly.
Yeah, meanwhile, GFE is on his Aga fight, so very close. And joining us now, P-Train. GG's.
GG's.
So, yeah, what did you think about that seed?
I could have played it better. honestly. I'm surprised I did as well as I did. I did, according to my tracker, I did everything but Desert Big Chest, Library, Second Chest in Aga Tower, and Pyramid Ledge. And I guess, Lumberjack.
Yeah, I think we saw pretty much everything in the seed, which you kind of expect from an all dungeons keys. But one question I did have to ask you. So towards the end, you basically had two options there. It was either Castle Tower or Turtle Rock with no ice rod. What was your thinking in going to Turtle Rock first?
Well, good question. First thing, I knew there was a unique item in Turtle Rock, which I assumed was the boots hint. But at the end, I also knew I was missing lamp, so that was part of it too. There were a lot of unique items that were still on the table right there, and also the ice rod. So Turtle Rock just honestly had the item density, and I was holding off hoping I could combo Aga with Ganon's Tower, because at that point, just the way my route worked, there never was a good time to go to Aga Tower. So I was like, man, I just hope nothing's there.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I got to sort of break for a second because GFE is almost done with Ganon here. And there it is. There's the last arrow. So get your GGs in chat for GFE, who finishes. We'll find that out in a second. Yeah, finishing with a time of 2 hours, 17 minutes, and 11 seconds in 12th place overall. So he says appropriate placing for GFE 12. So yeah, I guess sort of the biggest difference between you two, GFE went to desert very early and didn't have that desert small key, which was in Thieves Town. So he isolated that flute for a long time, and so all that overworld walking around, over the course of that seed, I think that made up a good chunk of the difference between you two.
Yeah, for me, like, I never route that way. Given that this was Keysanity, I played it a little bit like an entrance seed, so I held off, like, almost all. If I'm doing opener standard, after I check Lost Woods, then I go to Dam and I check Agina. But this time I was like, you know what? It's Keysanity. I don't have any keys. I don't have a book or anything. Let's go mini Moldorm route. So that took me to the Zora area, and I got the book. But then I think I also checked back of Sank before going to Desert, hoping for a fire source or a key or anything. And then I got Dark World access, and from there things just got crazy. So, like, my routing with Escape, and then going to Catfish, and then looping back for Eastern and Pod. I've never run that route before ever in my life.
Yeah. And we're also joined now by GFE 12, GG's.
Hey, GG's P-Train.
GG.
So yeah,
I don't think that I could have routed
Sorry.
that much worse.
No? I mean, honestly, I think the biggest difference, as I was saying to P-Train, is just you getting that flute so much later. Definitely, I think, cost you a bit of time in terms of having to walk everywhere. Because P-Train held off on Desert until getting that small key.
Yeah, I mean, with my kind of strange route, I routed very differently in the early game than I normally do. Getting that book before I even did Mini Moldorm, really, and then with the Dam and Agana, so I went ahead and checked Desert. Later in the seed, Lamp I knew that flute or something leading to it had to be either or on Sahasrara, but which was right, but it just never routed well. I actually was about to go do those 2 checks. I'm trying to remember what I was doing. I was doing something, and I ended up getting Hera Big Key. Decided to go sequence break the mountain rather than going to desert.
Anytime Mire's in play, I don't like to sequence break the mountain, especially in a Keysanity seed. Open standard, sometimes I'll do it, especially if my other options are garbage. But especially in Keysanity, it's really hard to keep track of logic. And in this case, flute was the requirement to get to Death Mountain. So if you go up to the mountain and then find a lot of goodies, which I think you actually did this seed. I think
But
you
yeah,
got
it
the
was loaded.
mints, then you got Fire Rod, Cane of Samaria, couple keys
Shot,
to pod.
I believe.
Yeah, so after a while, it's like, geez, like what's even in logic anymore, aside from that's not locked behind a flute or lamp. It just gets
Yeah.
really hard to keep up with.
So, was there any point in time during the race that either that you made a decision, you opened up a chest, and your heart just sank, and you guys just felt like you were behind, and you had to kind of fight through it a little bit because you both finished with decent times, but it felt like there was just a chain of disappointments throughout this seed where you never really got progression when you were looking for it.
Yeah, I mean, when I knew that the only checks I had not made were, I believe the only things that I didn't open because I was in go mode were Desert Palace Big Chest and the second chest in Aga Tower, and that was it. So I knew I wasn't in good shape.
I'm not too far from you there. For me, it wasn't necessarily not finding progression. Like what annoyed me throughout the seed was I kept making tactical errors. Despite that weird catfish route I did, where I did catfish and use the portal to get back to Pod Eastern, I forgot to pick up the big key on the island. I mean, that was the whole reason why I was running that route, was so I could loop that in, and this weird kind of way. And so this. Yeah, I had to make like a one-off trip for it because I forgot to route it in. And then in addition to that, when I got to pod, I was so frustrated from forgetting the big key. I forgot I had a small key when I got to pod, which would have given me Master Sword, which would have meant I didn't have to, because I double dip, not triple dip pod. I went in there once, did the shooter chest and mimic clipped. Then I went back and got Master Sword and checked everything that wasn't lamp locked. Then I went and got the big key, cleared a bunch of other random stuff. I think I did Ice Palace and Mire, and Swamp, because I got the Swamp small and Ice. So I did Ice, Swamp, and then Mire. Just little tactical errors like that where I kept skipping stuff that I really could have checked the first time I was there. And for me, that was kind of the theme of the seed, and that was all of my tilt came from that.
So, P-Train just reminded me what led me away from desert earlier on. When I was going to check the Bombos tablet, even though I only had Fighter Sword at the time, getting the big key on the island, and I thought it could be the Desert Palace big key, so I'm going to go do that first. The big key, that's what made me go up the mountain instead of going to the desert, because I was just going to go straight to desert after Bombo's tablet. I remembered that Swamp Palace had a sword, so after I got the small key in Ice, I wanted to do that and get the pod big key to Argus, and I was terrified that the sword was going to be in the big chest or something.
That
Really get
can't
dropped
happen in non-entrance, because entrance, the big chest and left side swamp have their own unique hints. Therefore, in Swamp Palace, doesn't refer to those locations.
So, as a result, I did get to single dip pod, if you can call it that, because I had to route it so ridiculous to full clear with 4 keys.
Did you pull ped?
I need to apologize to chat for that. I actually meant to after I cleared Skull Woods, because I knew it was probably not much slower than going back and killing the Pokey again, because I had save scummed the lava chest earlier on, because I knew Ped was a T-Rock big or small key.
I forgot to check it, so when I pulled it, I actually blind pulled it. I don't know why. Like, I had it in my mind, like, oh yeah, let's do Skull Woods because we can check bed. Completely forgot it. It was logically required though. You need that.
Yeah, it's
Technically, Trinex is locked behind all 4 small keys.
Yeah.
Um,
GFE. So one kind of unusual thing. You actually, after you did Catfish, you kind of went out of your way to go check the Dark Ice Rod hint. Is that something you normally do there?
My early route felt so bad because I just Moon Pearl. That's literally what happened. So that I needed some kind of help somewhere. So I was like, I'm just gonna go check this for chat. And I mean, it ended up saving more time than it lost because of the hint that it was. I didn't have to check Hera Basement, so
yeah,
it did help.
Was the Hera Basement hint, which P-Train actually went out of his way to go do. So that definitely saved you a little bit of time, as it turned out.
Let me give a quick PSA to anyone in chat who's a runner. Do what I did after Landmo 2. Beat when I walked through that door and used a potion.
Yeah, dying at
never drink potions while walking through doors, chat.
Oh.
Did you YBA?
No, I was very close to it though. I was walking through the door after Landmo 2 and my gauntlet was just horrible. I kept getting trolled. So I was low on health and I just was like, I need to drink a blue potion. I was leaving the Landmo 2 room. It was pretty close to a YBA.
That would have been pretty awful.
I will say, like, for a hard seed, this didn't really feel that difficult. If anything, I was a little timid going into Mire because I wanted a little bit more firepower. You know, like in open or standard, I would have had silvers. Wouldn't have thought anything about it, but being hard mode, I wasn't too keen on Fighter Sword Vitreous. But other than that, this was, I mean, I feel like as far as a hard seed could go, I felt like this was pretty generous.
Yeah, that's the exact word I used. Generous in terms of safeties that it gave you. Lots of bottles, lots of hearts.
I'll agree with you there.
There was a 20 rupee on Cold Stare. I don't know if that was supposed to be the final armor upgrade or if that was supposed to be.
Oh, that was the final armor upgrade because when I did Cold Stare, I only had Fighter Sword.
I had Master Sword by that point. But that's because I routed like a potato.
Yeah, it was red mail.
Oh,
no offense to the vegetables.
As our tracker Captain MD points out, I think it could also be half magic there.
I didn't know if half magic was converted into 20s. I thought only the sure upgrades were converted to 20s. That might be correct. I don't know either way.
Yeah, that might be the case. But, anyway, I guess we'll start to wrap up soon. Did either of you guys have any sort of final thoughts about the seed or about this mode, actually? All Dungeons Keys, I really like this mode. I don't know what you guys think.
I love All Dungeons Keys. I'm give or take on hard. I could take it or leave it, honestly. But I do enjoy All Dungeons Keys. I really enjoyed the run.
Yeah, I really enjoy this mode also. I don't mind hard every now and then. Mixes it up a little bit. And I mean, I just enjoy something different every now and then from the usual open or standard.
Yeah. I was most excited about idea of sort of practicing
about getting to P-Train on Restream. I don't think we've ever raced 1v1 on a restream before, so too bad I didn't get to farm him this time.
You
But
guys
maybe
were
next time.
teammates, right, on the league?
Yes, we were. It was me, GFE, and Sabotender.
Well, that's pretty
Go
cool.
Spearfinity. Look for us in season 2. We may or may not have a new name.
All right. Before we wrap up, I do want to read off some of the other finishers we had. So, first place finisher was Hitsoyan 1337. Second place we had Frostbite 3030. In third place was Korek. Fourth place Ack the Boker. In fifth place was Salty Fry. Sixth was Koi. Seventh Shire. Eighth place was Brewers Fan JP. In ninth place, of course, was P Train. 10th place was Julo Ninja. 11th Number Play, and 12th place was GFE 12. And then we had 1Up40. He's Just a Boy, Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna, Durand, Ninjembro, Leslie Pro, Jetters, Roach, and that's all our finishes so far. All right, so did you have anything you wanted to add, Vitasia?
No, I mean, this was a great race. Congratulations to all the runners, Hitsuyan for winning, and P-Train for putting on a show, showing us some swag with, or was that one of you guys did the mimic trick in Eastern or in
Yeah,
Pod?
that was me.
Awesome. I hadn't seen that before, so I was impressed.
Yeah, he can definitely do it quite quickly. It's a really, really difficult trick to pull off.
But anyway, no, that's all from me. Thank you guys for allowing me, and thank you so much for the runners. Big shout out again to Captain MD 13 in chat doing our tracking. Thank you.
Yeah, and give us a follow as well. My co-com Vitasia and myself, I'm Atium. So I guess that's going to do it for us. Have a good night, everyone, and I'll throw it over to you, Vitasia, for the last word.
Have a good night, and we'll see everyone tomorrow for more speed racing.